Hello, everybody. How are you? This is Seyi again on Finding Purpose in Pain with Seyi. Thank you so much, everyone that's watching us, that's been watching us over the weeks that we've started. The experience has been so amazing. So, a shout out to all our viewers, those that have been watching us, those that have been following us, all the likes, all the engagement. We're really, really grateful and happy that you've been, with us, since we started the show. And it's another beautiful time, another beautiful experience that we'll be having today. So I'm really excited that today is going to be another day that lives will be changed. People would, will learn and see how beautiful it is when you fully depend sometimes. So another welcome to everybody. Welcome everybody that is watching us today. And I'm so excited about our guest that we have today. So I've got with me Annabelle here on. Yeah.
Hi, Shay. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, so I'm really excited that you're here with us. It's a privilege, sending the invite and you accepting it and coming on the show. We always look forward to all our guests that we invite because we know stories are important and telling them are really, really important. And
Yeah,
accepting to tell your story, sometimes a lot of people find it difficult. But as much as we get people on that are ready to share their stories and come on
yeah.
our show, we're really, really grateful for all they do, and coming on our show. So tell us a bit about yourself and about, before we go into the main story.
I'm married. I have two beautiful girls, and I'm looking for opportunities to continue to share my story. And I'm just grateful for life and grateful for to be here actually to share my story.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much. That's a good one. Before we go into your story, I just wanted to just find out, before the incident, who were you, before all this? Because I know all this wasn't part of the plan when you started. So who were who were you and what was going on with you before, we go into your story and the main things that happened?
So I was actually a consultant. I'd been consulting for I don't know, well, for many years, and actually the period where I was I was contracting, and I was working for. I've worked for multinational organisations. I've worked for the likes of Accenture. So in terms of consulting and going into organisations and looking at improvements, how they can improve, that was my speciality. I had certain certifications that they would be leaning on and relying on for me to, to look at how they can become more productive in the way that they were performing or increase and improve their processes. So it was very much about improving the performance of businesses. That was my forte, if you like.
Yeah, so as we can see, you were all, all for it, going for it, and achieving all like a lot of us, before, life sometimes
Yep.
brings some detour in our lives. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So walking, I was reading some of your story, and I found a lot of things exciting, and I know our viewers will really, really be looking forward to this. And I know the 1st of April 2010 actually change a little bit, if I'll say a little bit of your life or a lot of your life, if you're going to tell us.
Yes.
I didn't want to say change everything, so let's just make it mild and say change a little bit. Because in the scheme of things, sometimes it's actually a little things. Because as things unfold, we found out that there's greater things that come with all the details that come in our life, isn't it? So the
Yep.
1st of April 2010 changed your life, changed a lot of things about
Yes.
you. Can you tell
Yep.
us about it, about the 1st of April 2010?
Yeah, so it's worth me just. I should have mentioned this in the introduction that I was also at that time. I was also doing an MBA, and I was doing an MBA at Lancaster University. So I was working in Preston, so driving from London to Preston every Monday morning and coming back to London on a Thursday evening, Friday morning. Um, So I'd been doing that for maybe 6 or 7 months. So that it's worth knowing that. And also the fact that I was also studying, I was also doing my MBA that was also in Lancaster. So every 3 months I'd be traveling on a train from leaving work that I'd driven maybe 4 or 5 hours to, leaving from work, going to Lancaster to do my MBA. So I was traveling as well as studying, as well as coming back home, and you know, I was married at the time as well. So yeah, but the 1st of April, 1st of April, we all know what 1st of April typically means, but 1st of April happened to be a day where I was actually working from home actually on that particular day because it was Easter. And my husband Aaron he just wanted me to be home before I think Maundy Thursday. So I think I came back home on Wednesday. So I was at home working from home on the Maundy Thursday, and I was in a meeting, and Aaron had just popped out, and I was active in the meeting. I was contributing, but apparently, and this is where the information that I tell you is actually based on not only what Aaron has told me, but also what my colleagues told me, because it's almost unbelievable to even think or consider. But there's a period literally of my life that I actually have no recollection of, and it starts from the 1st of April till probably I think the end of April. So on the 1st of April, I was working from home, as I mentioned, and I was on a conference call. Aaron had just popped out, and during that call, my speech became slurred. It became incomprehensible, and so they, being my manager and some of my colleagues, thought that it was the actual line of the phone. So they thought, okay, let's just drop the phone. So they dropped the phone, and then they called me back. Or somehow so they called me back. Yeah, they called me back, and it was the same thing. My speech was slurred. I was not able to understand what they were saying. So they got worried. As I said, my husband had just left the house as well. And because I was contracting, they actually didn't have my home address. So they had to do some research to phone either the agency, who then had to phone my accountant before they could get my personal details to get in touch with the ambulance to let the ambulance know where they need to go to, because they felt that there was a problem. Eventually, the ambulance and the police got to my house, and they were trying to get in. Aaron then saw them and was like, okay, what's going on? Why are you trying to get into my house? And he rushed upstairs, and because I was working from home, I was literally lounging, if you like. And I was like, when I was having the meeting, I was lying on the floor. I was just chilling whilst having the meeting. And I was in the same position. He thought that everything was fine, except when he started to ask me questions, he had to lift me up and put me on the bed, and he was talking to me, but I wasn't responding. I was looking at him, but what there's is that I was looking at him but not looking at him at the same time. It was like I was looking through him. And that's when the ambulance and the police came up the stairs. They thought that Aaron and I were actually had arguments, a marital argument, and that I had maybe done the wifey thing and decided not to speak to him and put him on the silent treatment. But obviously that wasn't the case. They then searched the house to see whether I'd also taken any drugs, and maybe it was a drug-related incident or issue that had caused the situation or whatever. Obviously, they didn't find anything. So they threatened to put me in the ambulance, because again they thought that there was an issue between husband and wife. So I think Aaron said that they left us to try and solve it, but obviously that didn't happen. But eventually they carried me into the ambulance, and Aaron called his mum, who was in Nigeria, as well as my pastor, to pray for me, let them know what the situation was. because they also wouldn't allow him into the ambulance. But he just wanted to make sure that Pastor Carol, my pastor at the time, and his mom had prayed for me before we left. So that's when I then went to the hospital, QE2 hospital.
Okay. So before we are going to go into, the bit about the hospital and when they found out what was wrong with you, or what the situation was. But before then, would you at any point in time thought or something was going through in you? Maybe you felt some symptoms or anything that you felt, oh, something is not right with me, before that incident?
Absolutely not. I mean, I enjoyed the traveling. I enjoyed the studying. The fact that I was doing my MBA. I love learning. So I didn't feel stressed. I didn't feel like I was under any particular pressure of any kind. No, I felt like I was normal. There was nothing that triggered it for me. Absolutely not. For me, it was a good day. It was a normal day until everything unfolded.
Yeah. So before the incident, you were doing your MBA, just to be sure,
Yes, I was.
You were walking away from home and driving about 4 hours. Are you right? Am I right with that?
4 hours. 4 hours there and 4 hours back.
Wow.
And then also doing my MBA.
You're doing your MBA and you had a family, you had children. Wow. Wow.
No,
Wow.
I didn't have any children at the time.
Okay, you didn't have any children. Okay, at any
No.
time.
It's just no.
Okay. I just wanted to understand, all that was going on at that period, to be able to understand, all that sometimes we do take on, and we don't know sometimes all that we are taking on, at that point. Because at this point, we're having about 4 things that you were doing. You were doing your MBA, you were walking away from home, and all that also going on. Yeah. So let's move to when they found out, when you got to the hospital and when they found out what was going on.
Well, what I was told was that when I got to the hospital, they ran a number of tests. They were running tests as well, I think, in the ambulance. And even when they got to the hospital, they were running tests. They couldn't find anything. They didn't know what was going on. And then so I think I was told that I think it was around 2 o'clock that I got to the hospital. And it wasn't until midnight that they decided to run a brain scan and realized that one of the vessels in my brain had burst. So that's when everything became manic, and knew that was the initiator, if you like, for sedating me, because they knew that as long as I am conscious, I'm putting even more pressure on my brain. So once they confirmed that was the situation, that blood had burst and was leaking on my brain, they needed to sedate me so that the pressure would be less on my brain.
Okay. So what did they have to do? Did you have to go into surgery, after they found out that this
Yes.
vessel does, and how long did it take and all that?
Yeah. Well, once they had found out and they'd seen the. Okay, so I was in QE2. QE2 is our nearest hospital. They didn't have the neurologists or the facilities to conduct the required operation. So that then took further time to find a hospital that had space, the facilities, and the right qualified neurologist who could operate. So that took another few hours before they actually found that, and that's when I went to Royal Free Hospital.
Okay.
And that's where I stayed for 35 days, so 33 days. So anyway, when I got there, they did some scans, they did some x-rays, and the first thing that the physician said once he saw the x-rays, and he said to, it was to Aaron, to my sister Louise, I've seen the scans, I've seen there's blood all over the brain. Annabelle will die imminently.
That was what the doctor
And
said.
that was his exact words. And it's something that I have never forgotten. Annabelle will die imminently. So obviously, once that was heard, I think my sister broke down. Aaron just said, "Look, just do what you need to do." Um, yeah, and that's when everything, from the physician's perspective, he then operated for I don't know whether it was 2 or 3 hours, if not more, and then Aaron did his what he's good at, best at in terms of praying, and not just praying, but just building almost like a temple around me, around the whole situation, so that everybody was praying and everyone understood the situation. Everyone knew what was going on and the importance of it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for watching us. We are with Annabelle Aaron, and she's telling us our story about her life story when she had the brain vessel burst in her brain, and she had to go into hospital, and they had to, do some operation. And she's telling us about a story. But what at this point, when I was reading that story, and you said it again, and the doctor said you would eventually die, and I know he was doing his job, but I just wanted to point out at that point also, the power of words, and I kept asking myself, when I read that and when you said that again, could there be other ways that that same thing could have been communicated? And for those that are watching us today, if you're in a if you're, you're a specialist, you're in that field, sometimes we need to actually, yes, even if all the facts, shows us, or shows you, what the fact is telling you that this will happen to the person, you might step a little bit backwards to ask yourself, is there a better way that I'm going to say this that would help give strength to this
Yep.
family or to this spouse or to these children? Is there a better way? I'm not a doctor and all that, so I don't know what they teach them in medicine and all that, but I just know that you're in control of your words, and what you say to people and what you
Yeah.
say even to yourself is very, very
Yeah.
important, at that point. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
point that out, at this point. And when it gave the verdict, how did I know I know a lot of stories that you're telling us is what they've told you, but I'm sure they must have told you, how did your family take the news? How did your mom, your husband, how did they take the news? And how how do you think they reacted to that news? Because they must have given you some feedback, when they heard that news.
Yeah, I think my siblings, I mean, if this is what the doctor's saying, I think that they would have just believed it wholeheartedly and maybe just thought the worst instantly. But Aaron is the exact opposite, and he absolutely knows the difference between the truth and the facts. The facts are what the doctor said. The facts are what the neurologist said, or, or the physician said. But he knows the truth. He understands the word. He knows God. He held on to the fact that God didn't tell him that his wife was going to be disappearing off the face of the earth at any time soon. That's not what he knew. So he held on to the word. He ran to the words. He ran to what he knows best at doing and praying and making sure that people, almost like held his hand whilst praying. I mean, he actually took control of the environment, regardless of what was being said. He took control of it.
Wow, wow, wow. So we are grateful for we are grateful to Aaron, and taking charge of that environment at that point. I think you're a bit frozen at your end. Can you hear me now?
Really,
I
I
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
You were a bit frozen
Yeah.
at the point.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So take us through, after the surgery and the recovery phase. Was it
Um.
just immediately after the surgery things went back to normal? What was that journey like? From the operation
uh,
and the recovery area.
okay. Um. So I was in intensive care for a few hours, and actually the neurologist, I didn't finish what he said. He said, okay, said what he said at the beginning. Before he operated on me in that Annabelle way, when he actually said, okay, the operation was a success. Now Annabelle needs to wake up. that was the next prayer point. Annabelle needs to wake up within a certain period of time, otherwise I could fall into a coma. So that was the next focus and the next focal point in terms of praying. And if anything, that there was almost like a rally cry, to God Himself, that this is the situation. And then his mum, she's a prayer warrior of prayer warriors, and she had everything under control. She and that's where the Aaron family, they're a force to be reckoned with when it comes to prayer.
Wow. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's the line. I don't know whether the line is
It cuts off. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know whether it's the internet or
There's
technology.
delay.
Yeah, it's got a little bit delay. So I've I was reading through, when I got your story, so I did some research and I was reading through some people that have gone through brain issues and the bust and all that. And I know, some of the story that I read after the surgery, like you said, some didn't wake up. Then others had to relearn a lot of things, relearn how to speak, relearn how to walk, relearn how to do a lot of things. Was that your story, or
Yes.
what was your journey in that aspect?
I too became aware of what you've just said, because I remember when it came to once it got to a point where they were like every afternoon, it'd be a case where I'd either go see the psychologist, or I'd be seeing a speech therapist, or I'd be seeing somebody to help me walk. And I'd be thinking, or even like in terms of reading, and like they'd ask me to read something, I'd be thinking, why are you asking me to read something? I'd read it and I'd be thinking, okay, I've read it. What's the point of this? So I could read. Even of writing, they asked me to write a sentence, or write maybe maybe about the day of the week or whatever, and I'd write something. I'd be thinking, okay, what are you trying to get at? I could write. When it came to the memory side of it, so in terms of reading, writing, all of that, and even in terms of movement, because I remember there was a time where even in terms of exercising, they'd be asking me to do certain things to see whether I'd be doing it. I could do it. I could do all of that. Like all of that was absolutely perfect. There was no injury on that side. The only thing that I had, actually, there was two things.
Mm-hmm.
It was my memory, and it was also part of my sight. There would be, I would feel like there was a blockage in the back of my eye that prevented me from seeing to my right. So even when I would be driving, I wouldn't be able to see. I could only see what was in front. I couldn't see from my rear. So that was one thing. And then the second thing was about my memory, and the fact that they would test me. They would test me regarding my memory in terms of like putting up cards, and then they'd put it down, and they'd ask me, okay, what did I just see? I would have no recollection of it. It was pretty much immediate. Or they would say to me that I'm, what the day of the week is, or what the time was, and then they'd ask me, okay, so what's the day of the week? I would have no recollection of it. I wouldn't be able to remember what they've just said. In fact, if they were to ask me, I wouldn't even remember that they actually told me what day of the week it was. That's how instant my memory had been affected. So they were my two, but my memory was my biggest.
Okay. But how did you manage? What were the practical things that you did? Because I can imagine having issues with memories and being a mother, being a wife, having to go back to work. What were those practical things that you were doing, to help you with the memory loss and the challenge on that?
Well, I mean, remind me to come back to the question that you've just asked me. Okay. But I mean, just in terms of the memory thing, I'm actually still in touch with one of the nurses that I became good friends with in the hospital. And one thing that she, even till today, I think even just last week, she sent me a message about how many times in a day I would ask her her name, how many times I would ask her, the same question. Literally, if she went away, I would ask her the same question. It was just like if Aaron came to see me and say he went to speak to one of the nurses and then came back, I would actually greet him the same way as if I'd just seen him. That's how impacted, or how much of an impact it was. And I mean, just again, I was being tested on a daily basis to see how my memory was being improved. And for I don't know how long, but there was a period of time where my score would be like 3 out of 10, 3 out of 10, 3 out of 10. And then they'd give an update to Aaron what my score was, and like he just wouldn't have it. He just couldn't accept that that was the score. So there was a bank holiday, and he asked them whether, it's very unconventional, but he asked them whether they would allow me to go home just for the bank holiday. He had to sign so many papers and declarations or whatever, because I was still under the supervision, if you like, of the hospital. But they allowed it. And the reason why he wanted me to go with him or to go home was because I think he wanted to see how he could improve my score from 3, and so it be increased, so that I can actually start getting better, as opposed to, I think he was just feeling that maybe the environment wasn't helping me or pushing me to improve or to stretch, so that I could actually get better. So the things that Aaron did are actually what I think gave him strength. So I'll give you some examples of the things that he did. So when he picks me up and he drove me home, the first thing that he did was actually he drove past our road. And when he drove past our road, I said to him, babe, isn't that our road? And like for him in that instance, I think he was thinking, but I know what the neurologist, or I know what the psychologists have said. They've said that you won't remember this, you won't remember that, you won't be able to do this, you won't be able to do that. But without him telling me that he's going to test me, that was one test that I didn't fail. So that was the first thing. When I got into the house, I have to say that I think they also made him sign to say that I wouldn't be doing anything on my own. I wouldn't be doing any cooking. I wouldn't be doing any. The cooking was the first thing that he asked me to do. As soon as I got into the house, I got to my bag, and he said, babe, I want some, maybe some pounded yam and something.
That's an African man, isn't it?
Aaron is a very African man. So I mean, I in that instance, in that moment, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what I wasn't supposed to do, or I didn't know that this wasn't what I was supposed to be doing, or anything like that. So I just went into the kitchen and I started to make the food. He was watching from the other room, but I made the food. These are the things that they said Annabelle would have either be struggling with or just won't be able to do it. So anyway, he tested me in so many different ways, and when I eventually went back, they retested me and I got 7 out of 10. So this is from me constantly having 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, just in that weekend. And just because Aaron being Aaron style, he stretched me like he does. I came back and I got 7 out of 10.
Wow. 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 Wow.
So,
Wow. Wow. Wow.
yeah.
That's inspiring, because it took a lot. That's a big risk on his side, what he did, that risk of, taking you home, and testing you, even though you didn't know that, to be able to do that. That's a big risk is taken. Wow.
Yep.
So going back to my question, before because I think this kind of opens, the extent in which, the challenge was with the memory. So what are those practical things that you did, on your side to be able to help yourself, transition in this period, of that memory challenge, having children, having a spouse, and doing other things, and all the frustration that comes with it, because I can imagine there would be some frustrations, in those periods. So how did you do that, and what were those practical things that you did that could help you through? Because somebody may be watching us and is going through one thing or the other, and they're there thinking, what are those practical things that I can do during this period to help myself?
Okay, so the in terms of going back to work, I'll touch on that.
Mhm.
It wasn't easy, because I would lose recollection of how to get to work, even whilst I was on my way to work, if that makes sense. So, say I've left home, I'm on the tube. All of a sudden, I don't know where I'm going or who I'm even working for and how I get to where I'm supposed to be going. So there were plenty of instances where I had to phone Aaron and ask him, okay, who am I working for again? Where how do I get there? Because my mind would literally go blank. In those moments, as soon as I would be told, I would write that down. I'd have to write a lot more things down on my phone than I ever needed to, because I'd be relying on my memory. I wouldn't need to write certain things down. And then, so that's the first thing. And then even, and it sounds like a really small thing, but I've worked in organizations that have plenty of floors. And then even on those floors, they have so many different entrances into the right area that you're actually working in. I had to write which lift I would go in. And then when I'm in that lift, when I come out, I'd write on my phone whether I turn right or turn left, so that I know which direction I'm going, especially if they don't have names or numbers for those rooms. And then one thing that I always did, I always had to have a bright item of clothing on my chair, so that I would know where I would be sitting. Because in the first instances, the first maybe week or two where I didn't do that, it could actually take me 45 minutes to an hour for me to find my seat, or even find the location, or even remember the floor that I was on. So I had to build certain systems using my phone for me to, get past this situation that I found myself in. So that's from a work perspective. That's what I had to do.
Okay. And what impact did all this have to your self-esteem and your mental health, at this period?
That's a really good question. I say that's a really good question because I think it's taken me 10 years to realize how much it's actually impacted my mental health. Um, and the reason why I say that is because I don't know whether it's a cultural thing, but I just felt like I need to just, carry on with life. I just needed to move on. I just needed to hurry up and just move on. And there wasn't actually a place of accepting what had happened, and also accepting the person that I had now become. And it was actually something that Aaron said in one of his masterminds, where he said something along the lines of that he needed to accept that that maybe the Annabelle that is no longer present, or something along those lines. And I remember when he heard that, I remember getting angry, because I was thinking, what are you talking about? I'm here. Why are you saying that? How are you saying that? How can you say that? But it was actually through a discussion then it followed with Detola about grief, and just the process of grief. And what that discussion actually helped me realize, and this is like 9 years after, that the person that I was is not the person that I am now. I actually don't. I recall aspects of that person, but that's not the person that I can be, because that's me trying to fight to retain the person that I have no real recollection of. So I had to rebuild myself. And the reason why I'm going down this line is because I had to make a choice. And this is where responsibility comes into it. Again, it's taken 10 years, but I've had to accept responsibility for what happened in order for me to move forward. I've had to accept, okay, yes, this happened on the 1st of April. This has impacted my memory, it's impacted who I am and who maybe I could have become, or who I wanted to become. But you know what? There's no point holding on to that. That's actually a waste of time and effort and energy. And I need to move forward. I need to accept the person I am now, and build up the person that I want to become for the future for my girls. Because I became very aware that my girls would be imitating some of the things I'd be doing. Some of it would be unconscious, particularly where I'm forgetting something. And I didn't like how that was being reflected in some of the things that they were doing. And that's where I had a conversation with God whilst I was driving. And that's where the whole concept of responsibility came into play. And also the fact that I felt God tell me that I need to decide, I need to choose who I want to become and how I want things to be, how I want things to be. And one of the beautiful things and that's the reason why I've now done the blog, or how I've grown into the blog, is because I remember when I was dropping my daughter off at nursery just before the whole lockdown, and I was having these conversations with God. He said, Annabelle, you need to choose. That's where I choose came. And when he said that, and I said, okay, I choose this, the sun would shine. The sun would automatically shine on me. That happened on day one. And then maybe the next day, I'd have a similar conversation with God. And the same thing, he'd say, Annabelle, take responsibility and choose. Okay, and then I said, okay, I choose today to be, one full of smiles. I'm just going to smile. Again, the sun would shine. And then I think it happened a third time. And that's when I thought, you know what, I thought it was a beautiful place that I was in. And there was something about responsibility, and there was something about me and I choose. And that's where my blog came, or the thought of my blog came into play. And it was just the way that the sun would shine on me just out of nowhere every time I thought of that. So yeah.
Wow.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah. That's really fantastic, and you've touched on a very important topic that I like. I could, yes, Abigail, I can feel you. She's saying, "Whoa, I'm getting goosebumps." Yeah, that's what I'm feeling here, because that's really, really powerful. And you've touched on one important thing. That you said there is all about intentionality. Yes, a lot of us go through a lot of things, but a lot of, I was talking to a group yesterday, and I said a lot of us go through a lot of things, and when you speak to them, and when you get to meet them, you find out that they have not yet made that decision to be responsible to move forward. They're still rubbing the pain. They're still rubbing. They like the story. They like the pity party. But the main responsibility lies with you. We can help you, but you can't help somebody that doesn't want to be helped.
Exactly.
And I love the way you said it, that the responsibility, you need to start, like the way you said it, that the person that you were saying your children see you becoming, wasn't that person that you want them to see you as. And that's for as many people that are watching us, the responsibility lies with you. Whatever issue you've gone in life, whatever pain, whatever grief that you've been through, be it divorce, be it bereavement, be it whatever, you have the decision at that point of
Exactly.
your life to say, okay, yes, this has happened. Then where do we go from here? And seek for help. I like the way you said you had to seek for help. You have to look. I was telling somebody, said you need to understand where you are right now, which was what you did, and also
Yep.
understand where you wanted to go, and look at the gap
Yep.
in between to say, okay, these are
Yep.
the things that needs to be done to be able to achieve where I'm going to. And that's where intentionality comes in. And that's where getting help, getting coaches, looking for people that can help you. And that's where we come in to be able to
Yep.
help you, with your grief, with your pain, and shift you from the place of pain to a place of purpose. Shift you
Yep.
to a place where you can see beyond what you've gone through, and see how you
Yes,
can,
exactly.
how you can leave a legacy for people. Because what we are
Yep.
doing now today, even though we don't know it, is leaving legacy for people that are watching now, and people that will still be able to watch this show. That yes, Annabelle
Yep.
had a birth in her brain, but here she is, she's talking. Yes, she is, she made pounded yam for the African man. Yes, she is, she's able to do things that people
Yep.
said. I can just imagine
Yep.
what the face of the doctor seeing you today having this interview with me, because
Yep.
to him he said it's impossible. And see where God and determination to move to the next phase comes into place. I'm just going to,
Yep.
there's a question here. I'm just going to show you before we go to the next one. Elizabeth says, how did you cope with work? I think we said that. What work was work aware, and how did they support you? Yeah. Do you want to
Yeah,
answer that?
they didn't know, because as a contractor, you don't necessarily share that information, because they're bringing you in for a particular skill set. If it was a permanent role, then absolutely they would probably know. And I've had certain discussions with certain people saying that if I was a permanent member of staff, I would have had more support. But yeah, so that wasn't the case. As a contractor, you wouldn't necessarily share that.
Well, oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm moving on to the next question. In this your journey, was there any point in your life that you felt God failed you, or you felt disappointed with God? Being a Christian, was there any point that you had that part and thinking, God, feeling frustrated with God, or feeling, that God failed you at any point in time? Was there any time you felt like that?
You know what? I it's funny. It's an interesting question, because when I think when I came out of when I became conscious from the operation that I had, I was told that, or I think Aaron told me that he actually, and one of the nurses said, like, I think said, how could you ask her to do something like that? But he asked me to sing a song, because he was praying, and he wanted me to lead in worship, if you like. And I was singing, I sang, "You Are the Pillar That Holds My Life." That was the first song. And even I think the nurse was surprised that, wow, like, how could you even remember that type of song, or even the fact that you remembered. The reason why I'm saying that is because I actually feel like God enveloped me in that whole situation. He he made he made everything, not that everything worked out for my good, because I'm still going through certain things, but I feel like there was a reason for everything. That thought about, whether, like, God letting me down, no, I didn't think about it like that. In fact, I think I thought the actual opposite. I didn't want to let God down. I felt that He'd given me this situation, or this scenario, or this circumstance for a reason. And I mean, the reason I say that is because I the things that would be going on in my head, the battles I would have even in hospital, the things I believe that the devil was trying to make me do. I said, there's no way, and I said it consciously. I said, there's no way I'm doing this. I'm going to represent God even whilst in hospital, because the reason why I'm saying that is because even whilst in hospital, I felt like I was in a dream. I felt like the whole thing, the whole situation, the whole season was a dream, and that I will wake up and yeah, I'll just be, Aaron will probably nudge me and say, Annabelle, wake up. But obviously that didn't happen. And I remember consciously also making a decision that even if it's not a dream, I wanted to represent God in this dream. I wanted to, I just felt that whatever the situation is, for whatever reason it's happening to me, the reason why God selected me, I know, but do I care? I believe God.
Can you hear me? You're a bit frozen. Yeah. Hello, everyone. I think our system is just a bit frozen there. If you're joining us, we're on with Annabelle Aaron, and she's talking about her story. Welcome to Finding Purpose with Seyi. This is a show where we interview people that have gone through one sort of pain, grief, and turn it into a purpose in their life. So we bring people life, real people talking about real things, talking about things that affected their lives, talking about things that have changed their lives, and we interview them, and talk real issues, ask real questions, and the reason why we do this is because we don't want people being alone or having that sense of loneliness, that you are the only one that's going through that pain and there is no help out there. I can tell you for free that there's help out there. I can tell you for free that that thing that you have gone through in your life will make, if you harness it, if you focus on it and turn it into something different, you'll be surprised, what you become with your story. It's all about, and that's all about life. Life happens, and when life happens, sometimes we don't have control over it. Sometimes we ask the questions, but there are no answers, coming in. I think we've just lost Annabelle there, but we'll just wait for her to rejoin. Why I'm saying this, and we need to understand that sometimes we don't have the answers to those questions. Sometimes life do not work the way we do. But this is a community where we are building people that are able to use their pain and turn it into purpose. People that will be legacy builders, with purpose. People that will look at their life and say, yes, you thought you would break me down. Yes, I got to that detour. Yes, you gave me a lemon, but I'm going to turn it around. It might be a detour for you, but that doesn't mean the end of it. For Annabelle, she's telling you it took her 10 years, to get to that reality. We are here to be able to help you. You don't have to, every pain, every grief is unique. But sometimes it takes a long time because we are not reaching out for help. So when we have this community, we are there to be able to help you, that you don't need to do this alone. You don't need to do this alone. Don't sit on your pain. Use your pain as something beautiful. Use your pain to build up people. Yes, it might be a pain of divorce. You're not going to be the first person. Take responsibility for what you did wrong and move on. What can you learn from that pain? And move on. And that does not define you. I was talking to a group of ladies yesterday. Being a widow should not be a stamp, a stamp that's your middle name or that's the name they will call you with. No. So whatever you have gone through in life, shake it up. What have you learned from it? And move from it. And just turn it around for something, that people will look at you and say, oh, did she actually gone through that? Why would they ask that question? Because you've been able to turn your pain into purpose and you are building legacy even when you leave because of what you have gone through in life. Yeah. Back again, Annabelle. I'll
Apologies,
just
things my connections.
yeah,
Sorry.
I think it's the connection. Yeah. Okay, because of time, I'm just going to be moving a little bit faster now. During your incident, we've mentioned a lot about, you were unconscious. A lot of the things that you got to know and went through was well, because you were unconscious and your husband did most of the running around. What would you like to say to him, and what advice would you give men when their wives have challenges? Because this is, I like what you said, that Aaron said the person he married is completely different to who he has now. and he's been able to help in so many things. So what would what would you like to say to him, and what advice would you give to men that their wives are currently going through one form of challenge or the other, and they're in that phase at this moment?
Well, I'm going to start off by saying that I'm grateful to the family of the Aarons. They are an incredible family. They've always been by my side. They've always supported me. And in terms of Aaron in terms of supporting me, yeah, he's been incredible. I've always in a polite way, I've compared him to a ball, because that's the kind of approach he has to things. He sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, Caleb, downstairs. I'm recording. So in terms of
you said you were saying that you see him as a ball.
Yeah, so I just lost my phone now. Yeah, so he, first of all, he knows God. He has he hears God. He knows how to hear when God is speaking to him, and he's very sensitive to his own in terms of intuition. So when he hears from God, whether it's based on his intuition or something that he's read in terms of the Bible, that has given me strength in terms of the type of man that I've married, and the fact that he can handle anything. If you throw something at him, he can handle it. It'll be something that he's not even done before. He can handle it. And I'm just grateful to the fact that he knows God, and he's very in touch with God. He has a relationship with God. He communes with God. It's not just a Sunday thing. It's not just when he's got a mic in his hand. It's literally every day and all of one day, and it's part and parcel. And I just wanted to touch on the fact that the reason why Aaron is such an incredible man, and again, I'm grateful to his parents. There's one thing there's a decision that he made in this whole situation that could have turned things around. One of the things that the neurologist wants to do, he wanted to perform an intrusive operation on the rest of. Okay, so AVM, that's what I had. That's what it was, anterior venous malformation. So I said it was a vessel that burst. There were actually plenty other malformed vessels in my brain, and it was only one of those malformed vessels that burst. So there was still a whole load of vessels that remained in my brain, and only one of those burst. Okay, the neurologist said, asked him whether they wanted to operate on the rest of the malformed cells. Aaron said, no, you're not going to do that. Just fix the one that has burst. Now, this is somebody that doesn't have any medical, scientific background or anything. This was just based on, I believe, what God told him. He said, he just told them, just fix what's burst. Don't touch anything else. Yes, I appreciate, understand that there are other malformed cells or whatever. Just fix what's in quote broken. Which is what they did. He had no knowledge of how everything else could pan out or work out after that. He just wanted that. And the reason why I'm going down that line is because of the relationship that Aaron had with God. I believe strongly that was he believed that it was an intuitive thing. It was God, because we don't know how I would be right now if they were to have addressed all of the other malformed cells like in an intrusive manner. That's another story, because that's another part of it. But my advice, if anything, is, for those that are to get married, that are not married, make sure that your man has an intimate relationship with God. That can make the difference, between you and him and you and the rest of your life, like it was for me.
Wow, 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 wow. That's so important, and I'm quite passionate about that because in the midst of the purpose, in the center of helping people find purpose in their pain, I keep telling people that are yet to be married that whoever you decide to settle with determines your journey of purpose.
Mm.
Because if you make that mistake, and look at things that do not matter, or you've got it wrong one way or the other, you find that for people that are yet to get married, I feel that they've got a lot of blessing at hand now if they utilize it, because we are not sure what's going to come, in few years. So but now that you have
Exactly.
that decision at the moment in your hands, don't just be trivial about it. Don't make decision based on it looks nice, he has the
Yeah.
money, he has the six pack and all that. Make
Yeah.
quality decision.
Yeah.
See yourself, see that man, see that woman as the person that will help you fulfill your purpose. And a lot of people, some people might not agree with me. I keep telling people there are pointers before you go into. I don't know why we are going into the bit of marriage, but I think it's so important because we have, what we call dating with purpose. And where that came from was when we saw a lot of people and their pain coming through because they've chosen the wrong person. And we're thankful
Mm.
because of Aaron, because I know that a lot of families have gone through one challenge or the other, and this has been a strain that has broken that family apart. And you can't blame either party because, for instance, if you're using your case for example, and you're like, oh, can you get this? And in the next second, you cannot remember that. In the next second, you
Yeah,
are lost or
exactly.
something. That would,
Yeah,
and that will put a lot of pressure on the other person because the other person has to fend for
definitely.
you, have to help you
Yeah,
with cooking, with the children, financial. So there's a lot of pressure. So you can't blame. You can't blame. But once you get that person, for anyone that is watching me, that you are not yet married. I know sometimes if you're watching me and you're a bit delayed and you're wondering when will you be my turn. I'm telling you, your purpose is more than anything. Focus on the purpose. Don't look at things that do not matter. Focus on things that can build you and bring out the purpose in you. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in because I'm also passionate about that. Also, uh, I was going to ask you also, Annabelle, how would you say you found purpose in the midst of this, and what's going on, what's on at the moment?
So I it's all at the moment in time. It's about my blog.
Hmm.
Um, my blog. So either gifting adversity or AnnabelleAaron.com. I actually now have my own blog, and in that blog, I'm sharing the challenges that I face, and the reason why it's almost like an extension of me now, because it's not easy to share the things that are on my mind, um, and but yet when I write it down, I feel a sense of release and relief, and the feedback that I've got from a couple of people that have even experienced a brain aneurysm in the last 4 to 6 weeks that have contacted me and have felt a sense of comfort in what I'm sharing with them, based on my experience. That makes this whole journey, this whole thing that I'm doing worthwhile and of absolute significance. These are people, whether they're from Canada, I've been in contact with someone in Canada, from America, from Nigeria, and they have experienced, and the thing is, it's not easy to share the things that are going on in your mind when you've gone through it. I mean, one of the things that I've I've experienced is I feel like I've actually been in prison in my head because I've just not been able to share or feel free to share what is going on in my head, because sometimes I don't even understand why I'm going through or why I'm thinking certain things. And it's only since I've been speaking more and speaking to the right people, and that's one of the key things. You need to be careful who you share how you're feeling with, because if you're sharing it with the wrong person, what they say may not build you up, it may tear you down. So you need to be very conscious about, you know, who you're surrounding yourself with, and making sure that you're also in an environment that helps to build you as opposed to that depletes you. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, because I like that issue of environment, you know, because that can actually, like you said, that can actually make you, if you're in an environment, you know, where all they say is all about your pain and there's nothing, you know, nothing to it, or when you say something, they pull you down or look at you and said, oh, why can't you remember? It's not that difficult for you to remember anyway, you know, and things like that. Those, you know, it can tear you down and make you feel, you know, not wanted. And I tell people the responsibility of looking for the right environment is yours.
Yeah,
You need to
yeah,
look for the right environment, right people to talk to, right people, you know, to help you,
yeah,
building you up to the next phase of your life so that you can
yeah,
achieve the best, you know, of what God has put in you to achieve. So Annabelle,
yeah.
how can people find you? How can they reach out to you?
Well, my blog is www.annabelleaaron.com.
Okay.
And I'll spell Annabelle because there's so many various variations. That's ANNABEL. So Annabelle Aaron. Aaron is spelled AARON. So AnnabelleAaron.com. And I'm on Instagram as I am Annabelle Aaron, as well as Facebook. Again, I am Annabelle Aaron.
Wow, wow. So people can reach you if they're going through, if they've had such experiences,
Absolutely.
or they have a family member or something that they are currently going through at the moment. And I want to, for as many you know, that you're watching us at the moment, I would really want us to give Annabelle a lot of support and love on our blog, because we need to be able to get this out. You know, it's a lot of energy and a lot of being brave to be able to come on this show and tell your story as it is, you know, letting people know that they're still, yeah, you're still in the journey, you've not gone through it, you're still going through it on a daily basis, but
Yep.
at the point where you are, you're still ready to be able to help people. So I want people, you know, if you are watching us and you watch this on replay, please, can you do me a favor? I'm not asking for money or anything, but I want you to actually go on that blog and share and like and subscribe on a YouTube, on Instagram, and just to reach out and just spread that news, because as we've just heard, we can see that there's a lot that she still has to say. We can't bring this out, you know, in 1 hour. There's still a lot in her that I know that she wants to give, you know, to the world.
Yeah.
So, and we can only help her do that if we can share. If you have a community, you have an opportunity that you can help, you know, a community initiative where you want Annabelle to come in and talk about our experience, please, you can either contact her directly or reach out to me. I could help link you with the contact, because we need to get that word out that whatever pain you've gone in life is a detour and should not stop you,
Yes.
no matter how
Yep.
difficult, whether it's
Yep.
cancer, whether it's bereavement, whether it's problem in your marriage, whatever it is, we can help you move to the next, you know, to the next level.
Yep.
And if you're out there and you're wondering, how can I've heard Seyi talk so much about pain and purpose. I've heard Annabelle talk about her, you know, her pain, and she's moved on. How can I do this? How can I move? You know, I was talking to a lady today, Annabelle, and she's lost somebody for over 20 something years. And she was telling herself, she said, Shay, you know what? I want to do a lot of things, but I find myself wanting to hide. I find myself not
Mm,
wanting to take that responsibility.
mm,
So I was
mm.
there. I had to tell her that, do you know what you've gone through? A lot of other experiences that you've gone through are the things that are holding you down. We need to
Yep. Yep.
uncover it. We need to start picking them one after the other to bring out the
Yep.
best in you. So if you are there and you're watching us and you need help, please contact me. We've got a coaching program, and we can do them on one-to-one or in group, where we help people harness their purpose in their pain. This is a 6 weeks course where it's practical. If you know me, I'm a real person. We deal with things that are real. If you're not real, you can't walk in the circle. You have to be real, where you see people telling their own story, telling their own journey, and you see people from when they started and at the end of the course, and you see the transformation, and you are glad that
Wow.
they've gone
Yep.
through this journey, because It's not about living. If you are listening to me, it's not about living. What would you be remembered for? Are
Yep.
you going
Yep.
to be remembered as the lady that that had an issue? Are you going to be remembered as the widow? Are you going to be remembered as, whatever situation that you've gone through? Or are you going to be remembered as that person that went through that thing but turn it around and change the whole world? The
Yeah.
decision is yours. And you can only know that when you uncover yourself and uncover the why you've gone
Yeah.
through. And that will make a lot of difference to you. And Amel, what's your last word before we finish? As we round up to some people watching you now.
My last word would be don't allow yourself to be stuck.
Hmm.
Unstick yourself
Hmm.
so that you can experience the best days of your life.
I like that.
I was stuck. That's why I was stuck for the last 10 years, and it's only now. So that's what I would say.
Wow, wow, wow. I really, really like that. And you can only do that, by getting mentorship,
Mm.
by looking out for it's your life. And like I said, it's your life. Reach out. We've mentioned Coach Aaron, there are a lot of places, I've mentioned myself
Yep.
where you need help, just reach out and get. It doesn't matter where you get to. I believe in that philosophy that there's so much people out there that we are ready to help. So it's not all about competition. It's all about complementing. We need to come together and build people, that are pillars that can change generations. So where you need help, reach out. Don't get stuck. Don't be alone. Don't let mental health, depression and those kind of things
Yep.
keep you in a particular spot. Reach out for help. Reach out for people that can help you, and there are a lot of people out there that can help you. So don't endure all this alone. There's a lot of help for you out there. So, on a final note from Seyi, today, like I say, my mantra is the whole world is waiting for the manifestation of you. People are waiting for you, to manifest, to be the best of you. Are you ready to give them the best? Or are you ready to keep them waiting? And at the end of it, all they have to say is, we've been waiting for you. You never came. Is that what you
Mm.
want them to say? So the whole world is waiting for you and for your manifestation. Thank you so much, Annabelle. I'm so
Thank
grateful
you,
and I'm
Shay.
privileged for having you on our show. It's been you to me. You've been really brave. You're a hero to us. Going through all this
Thank God.
in life and coming here and sharing your story. So we're really grateful. Having this time with you, and we say thank you again, and we look forward to
Thank you.
greater things
Amen.
from this life. We look forward to we look forward to seeing you on stages. We look forward
Amen.
to people coming up with their story that I heard Annabelle talk, and through her testimony my life was changed. Through that
Amen.
testimony something shifted in me, and I'm looking forward in
Amen.
it, and I know definitely there's a
Amen.
lot more that is coming from you. Thank you so much,
Amen.
and
Thank you,
thank you
Shay.
again for coming to our show. Thank you, viewers, again. Until we come to you in another week, please watch out. My next guest is another interesting one. So watch out on our social media as we, announce the next person that will be coming. Thank you always for coming on our show. Please like, please share, please subscribe on our YouTube channel. We love all the support. And if you do have a story that you think we can share, that you think the world needs to hear, please kindly reach out to us so that we can, have a conversation with you. And if you would like to sponsor a widow, a widower, or a single parent, please kindly reach out to us. We cannot do it alone. As you know, at the moment, we're on the project where we are going to be feeding about 100 widows and widowers soon. So if you'd like to partner with us or work with us, please reach out. I've sent my email is sheyi.findingpurposeinpain@gmail.com. Kindly reach out to us and we'll be happy, to talk to you. And if you're out there, you want to sponsor our show, we're also happy. for you to do that, where we can actually advertise, what you're doing on our show. We'll really like that. Thank you, everybody, again for joining me this week on Finding Purpose with Seyi. And until we meet again, see you later. Thank you. Thank you.